Hello, everyone. This is the Cohn Zone. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Lowell Cohn. And we're going to be talking. We have a quarterback competition. You covered one in the 80s, the original greatest quarterback competition.
Oh.
Did you watch those in training camp? Did you see it happen, unfold?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I have to admit, I'm not as smart as you. So I did watch that stuff in training camp, but I never knew what I was looking at.
True. And it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I mean, I'm just fixing my hair here because shower. I could see them on the field, and I understood then. But training camp was just a lot of, and then it get kind of hot, and I'd get thirsty, and I'd want to get on one knee, and I'd get on one knee, and then some operative would come over and say, "You have to stand up." Bill says you have to stand up because the players are. So as the media, I wasn't allowed to lie or put on suntan lotion and get a chaise lounge or anything like that, which I wanted to do.
Of course. Yeah, it's a man's environment. All right. So here's the thing. My dad and I are going to be making more predictions. So we might even make some bets. Sometimes we make bets. Here's the problem, though. We never remember the bets after we make them. We make them publicly. We forget about them. I'm pretty sure I lost at least 2 bets to my dad this past weekend, and I owe him like $100 worth of wine, but we don't remember. So if you guys could remind us, help us like keep our books clean, that would be great. Otherwise, we're just going to keep making bets and forgetting about them.
Starting with drink the wine together anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know Sunday is Mother's Day and we're all going to Brian's house?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I got an email from him. Yes, I'm probably going to be helping, probably. So.
Good.
And I'm bringing wine too, so that will be a good occasion to settle up on these bets. We have another one. Who will win the quarterback competition? We've done all the grades. We've looked back. Now the big topic the next 4 or 5 months is who's going to win this quarterback competition? And Dad, who do you think it's going to be?
Okay, I'm going to say something really bold here. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to win that quarterback competition. Iggy, if it's an honest competition.
Go ahead.
If it's not loaded against Jimmy, I think, can I give my reasons? You already,
of course, please do.
I'm the father. You're already butting in. I think he's going to win because I think the other kid, although I'm going to use the word, I hate it, but I'm going to want to, although the other kid has upside.
He has upside.
Upside.
Let's see how many times you say upside today.
Upside.
You owe me a nickel every time you say it.
Although the kid has upside, Jimmy is by far the more experienced quarterback, even with less upside. And I don't think the kid is going to be ready. And I think Jimmy is going to play his tush off in training camp. And if it's an honest competition, I think he's going to win.
Okay. What I was trying to say, I wasn't trying to cut you off. Kyle was on the Rich Eisen show recently, and he said there is no competition right now. He kept using the phrase right now, which is key. No competition right now. Trey Lance isn't ready right now. So I guess what they're saying is if they have practice in mini camp or OTAs, May or June, there's not even going to be a competition. That doesn't mean there won't be one in August. I would expect there will be one in August. So basically what they're saying is Trey's not ready. I just have a feeling that they're trying to set the bar low, and that the message we're going to be hearing in 3-4 months is, wow, he's just blowing us away. I think Trey Lance is going to win this quarterback competition, and here's why. He's a better athlete than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's smarter than Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's been in this team for 4 years, and they still talk about how he's getting the offense, how he's learning it. When he was hurt last year, he was in the press box taking notes. I don't know about Jimmy. I think this guy has just so much more physical gifts, natural gifts, that he's going to make Jimmy look pedestrian, even though Jimmy's older and has more experience. I've seen Jimmy in camp, Dad. He's not that
It's true. He's not a good camp player.
No. Now, that won't be where the competition is settled. I would imagine preseason will factor in more because those are actual games, and the other thing is just practice. But still, I think if Trey Lance shows that he's ready, then I think he's going to start. And I think that in comparison to Jimmy looks shaky early. I mean, he's had some awful preseason performances. It gets him a little while to get going. Some of his worst performances are week 1. Remember last year, week 1? I'm just saying, you want him to rise up, Dad, but I don't know, man. I don't know if he's got the fight in him anymore.
Okay. Let me just make a side point.
Sure.
You said Shanahan said there's no competition right now. Obviously, the right now is quite a limiting factor. The other thing is, I won't believe anything he says.
Of course.
I don't believe that he's going to be honest about things like that. So
No.
it's as if he just mumbled. I don't care what he said.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually think Jimmy will outplay Trey Lance in the preseason and in training camp just because he's more experienced and because in terms of his ego and his profession, he has so much on the line. But
Okay.
I'd like to move to our second question.
Hold on, before we move on, let's put a
Okay.
bottle of wine on it because we're great with bets. I think this is a prediction. If Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback week 1, I will give you a $50 bottle of Bordeaux. How about that?
Oh, a Bordeaux.
I'll get you a
red
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
I'll go
A
to
red
Kermit
Bordeaux?
and I'll get you a red Bordeaux. What do you say? And if Trey Lance pulls off the improbable, you owe me a red Bordeaux as well.
I would love it.
I'll remember this one. Okay.
You will?
It's fairly simple. If it's Trey, I win. If it's Jimmy, you win. We'll find out in 4 or 5 months.
People remember that out there?
Please remember it.
Because I think he owes me some wine, and I don't remember
I'm going
anymore.
to do it over on good faith this weekend. I'm going to say that I lost and bring a couple of nice bottles of wine.
You don't have a couple of nice bottles. You only get them from me.
Well, I'll go out and get them. I'll use my pocketbook, and I'll take my stinger, and I'll find.
All right. You should see that stinger. He calls it the Blue Beast. Oh, my God. Okay, what's the second question?
All right. Who do you want to win the quarterback?
Which is it's a different question. Who do we think will win? Who do we want to win? And again, I want Jimmy to win. Now, again, I want to really explain this seriously. I don't root for the 49ers, so it doesn't affect my life in any way. So want may not be the correct word, but we're going to use it. I'm going to say for the best interest of the team, it would be better if Jimmy were to win the competition because he's seen NFL defenses. He's played with these players. He's a more experienced quarterback. I think to start off the season before he gets hurt, because he's going to get hurt, but to start off the season and to give Lance a chance to observe him, to be in the room with him, to be with the quarterback's coach. I would like to see Jimmy win the competition. What about you, Grant?
I would like to see Trey Lance win the competition. Jimmy, all respect to him. He's a great story. He's history now. It's only a matter of time before they get rid of him. Trey Lance is the future. And the idea, they may not win the Super Bowl this year, but they could win it next year. And they would ideally want to get Trey Lance as many plays and as much experience as possible so he's ready to go next year because he is the future of the team. And ideally, Jimmy doesn't play poorly. It's just that Trey Lance would go into the training camp and just blow people away, show people that he's polished beyond his years and really smart and ready to go. And if that happens, why would you hold him back just for the sake of Jimmy and his career arc, which has nothing to do with your team really anymore? I think if he earns it, that's great. That's only good.
Iggy, do you think Lance is capable of blowing them away?
Yes, that's what everyone says about him, that even though he lacks experience, the college he went to ran a pro-style offense where he got to basically call plays and set protections, and the little experience he got was more significant than maybe the 2 years someone would have got at a different place. And everyone says that he's like off the charts, and not just in terms of like he's really good at memorizing stuff, which these plays are 20, 25 words long, but he's very smart, and he seems to have like better natural judgment on a field than Jimmy. Jimmy's the guy that they don't really trust. Jimmy's the guy that could he's bad Jimmy 2 or 3 times a game. And I think one of the things they like about this guy is he's not like that. He turned the ball over 1 time in college. So we'll see if that translates.
If you think of what we call fast twitch muscles, let's make an analogy to a brain.
Yes.
You're saying Lance has better fast twitch in the brain than Jimmy does.
That's the book on Lance. It's hard to say what he is because he's 20 and he only played 1 year, but that's what people say, is that he's got this innate reaction that Jimmy doesn't have. Okay. There's no hesitation.
So look, we disagree on this as well. I think it's better for the team. I'm pulling for Jimmy to win the competition, but let's fold this bet into the first one. Let's not make a separate bet on that. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Sebastian says if Jimmy can't beat out a rook, he doesn't deserve it.
I agree.
Yeah. He's 20 years old. Let's see what you got, Jimmy. All right. Jimmy was recently on a radio show. It's the first time he said anything publicly since the 49ers.
No, you're skipping. I'm looking at hold on. I'm looking at the thing. Number three.
I'm sorry. Forget what I just said. It didn't happen. Erase the last 15 seconds from your memory. This is the next topic.
Here's the thing. I was a teacher for 25 years. I taught at Stanford and I taught at University of San Francisco. I know how to run a classroom. This guy was getting ahead of himself. So okay? Okay? All right.
He was a teacher, guys.
I was a teacher.
He knows. And his mom was a teacher.
Yeah, Eve. She taught at PS 92
That's right.
in the 6th grade.
That's right.
If Garoppolo wins, should the 49ers use Lance in spurts? This is Iggy prose, so he just skipped over it, sweetie. So look,
Iggy
I want to go back to history, and the great the great Joe Montana, and Steve DeBerg, I should say, and Bill Walsh, who was canny. He was canny.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen is Steve DeBerg would be playing, he'd be starting, and you knew that eventually he was going to throw a pick at the worst time and all of that. But all of a sudden, Joe would come in for specific plays. And the idea was he could do better on this play than DeBerg, but that wasn't by far the deal.
Right.
It would give Joe confidence and make him look good.
Yeah.
And he eventually got more and more plays, and then he became Joe Montana. And it was a brilliant way, frankly, to introduce him to Bill's offense, which I imagine was quite complicated as well. So I would like Jimmy to win the competition.
Yeah.
I would like Kyle to have the presence of mind and the maturity to bring in Trey Lance 3-4 times a game the way Bill brought in Joe. What do you think, Iggy?
I think you have to. You want to make him the starting quarterback as soon as he earns it. Well, if he doesn't earn it right away, how is he going to develop just standing there on the bench? He's still the future of your team. You still have to give him opportunities to play. And I don't know what that is, but I'm sure how Bill did it. Not backed up against your own end zone, not at your own 5-yard line, maybe in the middle of the field, close to the end zone, places where he could have success. Maybe a series or two a game. That would be smart. And the whole idea is to set him up for success, build his confidence, and his success down the line will become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I love it. And I would have another example of how you could use him when you want to use rollout passes.
Yep.
Jimmy
Absolutely.
can't do it anymore.
No. When you want an extra runner in the red zone, it's not the Niners offense has been consistently mediocre to bad in the red zone with Jimmy Garoppolo. Take him out, bring in Trey Lance. They can run the Wildcat and stuff like that. That's effective in the red zone. All kind of stuff like that.
And it would louse up defenses. Now they'd have more to think about.
When you actually want to throw deep, which Jimmy Garoppolo can't really do anymore. You can have a play action guy who throws. The thing about this guy is a cannon, Dad. So you could do that. All kind of stuff. Yeah.
So Kyle, are you listening here? Because I know that you watch, and I know that you really admire us. So I know he does. So we're telling you how to introduce this young man into your offense, and take notes on this.
Sir Don't Trip saying, so play him like Taysom Hill in New Orleans. No. In New Orleans, they give Taysom Hill, they play him at running back, they play him at tight end. We're saying give Trey Lance like a series or two a game. Let him play quarterback, but don't put him in when they're on their own 3-yard line. Put him in good spots, maybe when they're winning already, maybe when the pressure's off, things like that. But give him a series, let him run the ball, let him throw some play action passes, let him learn how to play the game, even if he's not the starter, because Jimmy has to go eventually.
Yeah, I think that would be a brilliant and a very easy way to do it. And it would annoy Jimmy, but the team is not about Jimmy's feelings. Jimmy's feelings, he earns a lot of money. That ought to help his feelings.
Yeah. And again, if Lance doesn't earn the starting job in preseason, then he shouldn't start week 1, but he still needs to be on the field. So he can't. How much is he going to get better not playing at all? Walsh understood. That's why he had Montana on the field at times. And then what you said about DeBerg was funny. It's like, who does that remind you of? The guy who throws the pick, the guy who throws the pick exactly when you can't have it. Who? And you know it's coming. And you know it's coming too.
Jimmy is a reincarnation of DeBerg.
Yes.
I've told this story before, but when Joe first started, he was quite talkative, and he was innocent. He was naive, and he would say things that he would never say later on. But I mean, he told me early on, we were chatting, and he said, it's funny when we come out to the field, Steve always has to be the leader, and he's the one who always grabs the ball. That's what he said. He grabs the ball like, I'm in charge. I'm the starter. And clearly it bothered Joe. But then, I think he resolved that issue.
It's like all those little things that you're doing, Steve, doesn't make you a better quarterback than me.
Yeah, and what's
still my team.
Yeah. And anyway, he told me that, and it's probably the last really forthright thing he ever said to me. And I don't blame him. I mean, I probably wouldn't have said things to me either. So should we move on to the next topic?
You tell me.
Yeah, you move on. Now introduce it.
All right, so Jimmy Garoppolo recently was on a radio show for the first time since the Niners made the pick. He said he was asked about it, and he said, yeah, he's going to help Trey Lance develop. He's there for the kid. Do you buy it?
Oh, he went more. I mean, he laid it on thick. How Brady helped him, and this was on some radio show. I read about it, and he's gonna, he's there for this kid. And when they drafted him, he called him up.
Oh yeah, first guy to call him.
First guy
to call him.
First guy to call him. And listen, the way we heard about that was Lynch, right?
Yeah.
Lynch said,
yes,
the first guy to call him. So when the team says it, I know immediately it's propaganda.
Yes.
Now he may have called him.
Yes.
But the team
call him. I'm going to say you called him. Yeah, call him.
Yeah.
Here's his number.
And the thing is, the team doesn't need to tell you that. That's private, but they tell it to show why. We're one happy family. These two guys, they're in it for the team.
And they want to make Jimmy look good because they're trying to trade Jimmy eventually.
Yeah. So what I want to say is, it is utter baloney.
Yeah.
It's utter baloney. It's propaganda. It's public relations. It's what teams say, but it's not how teams work. And what's more, it's not how human beings work.
No.
If I were the starting quarterback and they brought in this guy and traded up to third to get him, I might be polite. I mean, I wouldn't try to assassinate him, but I don't think I much like him, and I wouldn't go out of my way to help him take my job. It's just not human nature.
What would Aaron Rodgers, how would he react? How would Tom Brady react? In fact, we know because Tom Brady was supposed to be the mentor for Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, he mentored him all right. He mentored him out the door.
Out the door. I bet Brady was rather distant and cold to him.
Yeah. Like, hey, man, you can observe me. You can watch me in meetings and on the practice field, but I'm not going to take you under my wing and tell you how to beat me. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say. First of all, so the interview and what Garoppolo interview and what Lynch said, just throw it away. It's BS is what it is. It's total BS. But I want to make a journalism point because, I'm a former journalist, and this is, I want to give it, I'm sure I don't have to give advice to veteran journalists because I can't imagine any veteran journalist would ever write an article about this. But to you beginners and doing it at home, when you feel that what you're getting is pure baloney and it's public relations from a team, I would say skip it. Don't write it because it's you can't verify it. It's probably not true, and it makes you look naive. So I would say, please don't do this, beginning journalists. Find something with more of an edge or things that you could verify. What do you think, Iggy?
Because then you're just complicit in their propaganda, which makes you adjunct PR, which is not a good place to be. You don't get paid for that. They don't get paid for that. Yeah.
And as I say, I'm not lecturing veteran journalists.
I know this.
Because I can't imagine any of the people who cover the Niners doing something, that sort of beginner. But I'm just saying for people at home who are watching us, you part of what you do as a journalist is what is a good topic. That's not a good topic. If I were to write a column about it, I might quote Jimmy and make fun of him.
Yeah.
I do irony and parody.
Like, we're supposed to believe this? Are you kidding? Yeah. Was I born yesterday? But people take this stuff at face value when it's obviously PR.
Well, I think beginners might take it at face value. That's why I'm giving advice from 40 years in the business.
Do you want to go to the next topic? Let me know.
Okay. Hold on. Putting my glasses on.
He's going to look.
Okay. So, I think
it's a good time. All right, let's do it.
Okay. How about if you do it?
All right. So there's a couple ways you can look at this draft. One way to look at it is it was very uncharacteristic, I thought. The quarterback is not the typical kind of quarterback Kyle's gone for he's not anything like Kirk Cousins. 2 offensive linemen, 2 running backs, no wide receivers. Seemed kind of uncharacteristic.
And a lot of defensive backs.
A lot of defensive backs. You could see this as Kyle grew. Kyle is a changed man. He did some honest reflection, and this is the evolution of Kyle Shanahan. Or you could say this is John Lynch taking control of the draft. It's his domain. He's deferred. He didn't defer this year. This is a new direction. What do you think?
I think it's the second one.
I do
Lynch
too.
Took over. He took
I
over.
do too.
And I'm going to come back. Your first premise, and I understand it was hypothetical, was that Kyle Shanahan grew. I have not seen any growth in him, Iggy. I'm not sure he's capable of growing. I think what we learned about him is he's a coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at designing plays. We don't know if he can develop quarterbacks, which is a big issue now.
But the details of designing plays, he's great at that.
He's great at that. But
Yeah.
the vision of what's a team? What do I need on my team? I think he's not interested, and I think he's not particularly capable. John Lynch, on the other hand, wow, and his group. So I think what we saw is that the 49er became more like a regular team.
Yes.
Where the coach is
Yes.
the coach, and where the general manager and his crew make the team, put it
Yes.
together.
Agree. Now, I don't think that they straight up overruled Kyle Shanahan and he hates Trey Lance and he needed to have Mac Jones. I bet he liked both, but I bet he preferred Mac Jones, and the organization overruled him. I bet they gave him a month to think about it, and they said, look, man, I mean, we all think it's Trey Lance, and you're going to have to make a real good argument as to why you should overrule all of us. And I don't think he could, and I think it's really great the way that Lynch, I mean, he's really presented it to the media as this is what Kyle wanted to do. This is Kyle's idea. And he's not taking any credit for it. He's not gloating. He's making it seem like he deferred, but I don't think that he deferred. I think he really carved out his power in the organization for the betterment of everyone.
For the betterment of everyone and for the betterment of Kyle Shanahan.
I agree. Yeah.
And so I think, maybe this is the most important segment we're going to have today, because what we're saying is if our interpretation is correct, the 49ers really grew as an organization. Really,
I think they absolutely did. They went from being Kyle Shanahan's pet project to being a real NFL organization with a good coach and a strong general manager and a strong personnel department.
We're in total agreement on this, Iggy. And I want to say you're much better at this stuff than I am. But I think from observing from the outside, the 49ers did really well in this draft. Not only did it reflect Lynch and his bunch, but it reflected great judgment and understanding of what this team needs. I'm going to come back to the defensive backs. I was brought up thinking, boy, you really need a pass rush. And I'm not saying you don't. You need everything. But in this day and age where it's almost like 7-7 football, where they're just throwing the ball, you need people who can cover. You need people who can cover areas and cover really significant wide receivers. And I think the Niners are building up. I think they have it right now and have put in good reserves. So I think it shows a change in philosophy. I think Shanahan's philosophy was a lot of rushers, a lot of defensive linemen, I should say, which is like back to Mike Ditka era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Lynch did, he brought them into the modern era on defense.
Absolutely. And it's like, I don't know, Bill Walsh was there a long time ago. He won his first Super Bowl with 3 rookies in his secondary. He never won anything without Ronnie Lott. He understood the importance of having great players in the secondary. And I guess Kyle Shanahan just figured it out, or John Lynch always knew. I mean, Lynch played for Bill Walsh. Lynch was a safety. He would probably understand how important it is. And all of a sudden, they got 3 DBs. We're talking about their defense, their draft strategy. I mean, those were the only defensive players they took, DBs. If I told you before the draft, hey, Dad, what do you think the odds are that the Niners take 3 defensive players and they're all DBs? We would have laughed, right? We would have laughed.
Because Iggy, in the past, you were always saying you need cornerbacks, and they, that was really before you were into quality control the way you are now. Yeah. And they listened to you, but they never listened to you, and we knew how foolish they were. And I'm going to say foolish because Kyle doesn't get it. He's foolish in that area. Lynch does get it. Yes. I want to say one other thing, Iggy. Yes. And again, this is media, and I don't want to talk about local. I want to talk about national media. Now, you were always saying from day one, they ought to take this Trey Lance, and you've given all the reasons, which are persuasive. It seems to me that the national media really didn't advocate Mac Jones, but really thought they were going to take Mac Jones, right?
Yeah, everyone in the national media was like, look, it's not the pick I would make, but the Niners are taking Mac Jones. All my sources tell me they're taking Mac Jones, and if that's who Kyle wants, it's a good pick for them. That's what everyone said.
Iggy, this Cowherd guy, what's his name?
Colin Cowherd.
Now, didn't he say, I think they were going to take Mac Jones?
Yeah. Him and his sources were saying it was probably going to be Mac Jones.
So he was typical of what happened with the national media. Who were these sources? I mean, obviously the sources were wrong.
Look, my best guess, and don't sue me, my best guess is it was Mike Shanahan. A lot of people who know him, Mike Silver, Adam Schefter, were real certain that it was going to be Mac Jones. And they were Mike Shanahan's technically not in the organization. He can say whatever he wants to say. But and I think if you heard it from Mike, you'd feel pretty confident about it because that's Kyle's dad. But Mike doesn't make the decisions in the Niners organization. John Lynch does. And I think Mike got overruled. That's my guess.
Did Silver also say they were going to? Michael Silver
was the first one. The first one.
That's
like the day it happened.
That is so interesting because Michael Silver, now, no
I
one
don't fault him. I think someone very high up was telling him something because Adam Schefter said it. Schefter wouldn't guess.
Right. What Silver I want to say about Michael Silver is he's not at the level of Ira Miller because no one is as a reporter. Iggy, I don't want you to read that. I want you to look at
me. I'm just putting it there so I don't lose it and the guy doesn't lose his $5.
But Michael Silver, I think, would be number 2, Iggy. Michael Silver is, I want to say, hi, Michael. Michael Silver is one hell of a reporter.
Yes.
He's connected. He's smart. He went to Cal. And also, he preceded me at the Press Democrat. And when he left to go to Sports Illustrated, he advocated for me. So I just love Michael Silver, and I respect him. And if he said Mac Jones, then he was getting, as you say, maybe from Mike Shanahan, or from Jed, or who the heck knows. Yep. But the point is, a lot of people went that direction, and I find it very interesting. Very interesting.
Me too. Let's come back to this topic. I like the strategy that they did with the 3 defensive backs, but that was it. They had, I think, 8 picks, and 5 of them were offense. 2 running backs, 2 offensive linemen, and a quarterback who doubles as a running back. It's interesting to see as the whole league goes to passing mode. It's a quarterback-driven league. The Niners can't really compete with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in their own conference right now, but they can have the best run game in the league, which is what they had a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. What do you think of the idea of them just beefing up their run game?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. First of all, if you're running, it means you're giving the first punch. Yep. You're beating people up. You're giving the first blow. Number 1. Number 2, if they really have to worry about the run, they close in the box and it opens up the passing game for whoever it is. So I think it's I think it's a brilliant strategy. Absolutely. And it's clearly a philosophy because of what they did, Iggy. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
They didn't take any wide receivers, right?
0.
Which is unusual because Kyle is in love with them.
The first time since he's been here.
Iggy, do they have enough good wide receivers?
They do. They don't have a proven number 3 wide receiver, but you could argue they're not going to be doing a lot of 3 wide receiver stuff this year. They're going to be running the ball with Juszczyk on the field and Dwelly on the field. And I like Dwelly. Dwelly deserves more targets. Juszczyk deserves more targets. I think they can have a really, really good offense without playing a bunch of wide receivers. They have 2. Ayuk and Debo, they're really good.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is go through their receivers, rate a 1, a 2, and try to rate a 3. Richie James could be 1. And say what you like about each one, but order 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Ayuk is the number 1. Debo looked more like it the last couple. Debo's really good at what he does, those little end arounds and reverses and stuff, but Ayuk is going to be better down the field. You just couldn't tell because of Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't throw down the field. Well, Trey Lance has a strong arm. He does throw down the field. You're going to see Ayuk catch really big plays, 50-yard touchdowns, stuff like that. Plus, he's really good after the catch too. He's pretty much a complete wide receiver. He's going to be really good. Debo is more of like a wide receiver running back hybrid. He's really good too, but not as like classic of a receiver. He's shorter. He has kind of short arms, and he'll drop passes. You just kind of give him a quick pass and let him run through people and break tackles. And then number 3, I like Richie James Jr. Whenever he gets a chance to play wide receiver, he does well. They don't let him play that much. He was behind Trent Taylor in the depth chart. He's been behind some stiffs. But when he plays, he's good. I think Richie James Jr. should be the guy to beat at that spot.
Well, those sound like some pretty good receivers to me, Iggy. Yeah. It sounds like they feel, aside from the fact that they may even run even more, but it sounds like they feel they have good receivers.
I think so. They also spent a third-round pick 2 years ago on a guy named Jalen Hurd, who's been hurt. But he's still 23 or something. I'm sure they're giving him a chance. So, yeah, they have guys.
Is he gifted, Jalen Hurd?
He is very gifted. He's just been hurt a lot. They also have this backup tight end, Ross Dwelley, who I like a lot, who gets about 20 catches a year. He could get 40. He's never dropped a pass in his life or in his career in the NFL. He's good. Juszczyk doesn't get the ball enough. They have more than enough guys to throw to.
Dwelley has great hands.
Great hands, and he's 6'5". He could be the guy that they throw to in the red zone.
Do you know his parents?
I've met his parents, yes. I've met his parents. I've met his girlfriend. I've met the whole Dwelley family. Some of them are he's mostly from Sacramento. He has some of his family from Reno. They're very down-to-earth, nice people. And they invited me out for a drink before the Super Bowl in Miami because I wrote about him so much, and no one writes about Ross Dwelley. He's like the invisible man on the team, and they were just so pleased that I tell Niner fans, like, hey, he's actually pretty good. Don't forget about him. So they were really nice. They were really, really nice. Nice family. Yeah, very down to earth. He lives in San Diego with his girlfriend full time. They seem very happy. None of the Niners live in the Bay Area. I guess they take a look at Santa Clara and they're like, maybe I'll just rent.
Yeah.
And nothing against Santa Clara.
It's also very expensive.
Very expensive
out here, and it kind of blows their mind how expensive it is. And the taxes. Let's not forget Bay Area. What you're paying in Bay Area, like the sales tax is very expensive.
You know how Trey Lance was the number 3 pick, and he's supposed to make more money than the number 4 pick and the number 5 pick, and the collective bargaining kind of puts. He actually makes less money than a few of the people taken after him because of California state taxes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey. All right, let's answer a couple of these questions. Thomas says, if Trey Lance, well, here's the last thing with the draft strategy. We've praised the DBs, we've praised the running game, but ultimately they're going to be graded and judged by the one pick, the trade up for Trey Lance. If he fails, who will be the first that's blamed?
Lynch.
Kyle can get out of it.
Yes, he should be.
Yeah, Lynch. Kyle can get out of it and be like, hey, man, I deferred to you.
I just coached the team.
Yeah, I just coached the team, man. You had real strong opinions. I liked Mac Jones. He's doing quite well in New England, but you wanted this guy. I gave it the best I could, but sorry, John. You put your career on the line with this one. Yeah, it's Lynch. Sean says 3 people in the same division run Kyle's scheme. Kyle is the only power version of his scheme. He's going to bully Carroll and McVay. That's a good point. A lot of people trying to run the old version of Kyle's scheme, and now he's using a more powerful between the tackles. Maybe he's staying a step ahead the way Bill Walsh might have. Last one. Shotgun Fitness says, best of the new age and old school. The father-son interactions and Lowell's laugh are legendary. I also notice on any given live show, only about 10% throw you guys a like. We're all cone heads. Show these guys some love. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was very
so nice.
All right, this is our final topic of the day.
It doesn't mean we're ending.
No, but this is our final pre-planned topic. Where do the 49ers currently stand in the NFC West and then the NFC in general? Let's do it that way.
How about if I do the NFC West and you do the NFC in general?
Sure.
I think they're the best team in the NFC West. I do. In fact, I'm going to say this. I think the Niners are one hell of a team.
Yeah, I think they are too.
I think they're strong everywhere. And
now when all their players aren't injured, of course.
Yeah, right. If that happens again, what happened? They'd have to do some serious soul searching.
Yes.
But let's put that aside, Iggy, for a moment and just say, all things being equal, they are one hell of a team. I'm going to use a cliche. They're loaded. They're loaded
with upside.
They have upside up the
wazoo. Yeah.
Up the wazoo.
Yeah.
So having said that, the one big issue for them is quarterback. And one is it's hard to have complete faith or any faith in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
And Trey Lance is a beginner with not a lot of experience. For example, Montana had a lot of experience when he came on the 49ers. He went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
he was a starter for multiple years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got Mr. Glass and you got the 20-year-old. You know, Trey Lance is younger than Vish.
Wow.
Younger than Vish. So yeah, if he's ready, great. But how could you expect it? But still, I think they're better than the Cardinals.
Oh God,
I think they're better than Seattle.
Seattle has a lot of issues, and it's an aging team.
Yes.
Look, I think they're better than the Rams. I'm not sold on McVay,
Stafford,
by the way.
Or McVay.
Yeah. And like, their quarterback, he got a lot of pubs, Stafford. You would have thought he was Johnny Unitas.
Yeah.
He's not.
No.
He's not.
No.
He's a serviceable plus quarterback. So
yes.
I think the Niners should win the division, but if their quarterback combo is a complete flop, they won't. And what I say about that is that's where the drama comes in, Iggy.
Absolutely.
And what I like, especially as a writer, is drama. Yeah. I want to write about drama and quote unquote conflict. Yes. I don't mean people not getting along. Oh, that's part of conflict. But any really, except for comedy, any really good writing has to have conflict. Think of Hamlet.
Right.
The dad's dead. The ghost comes. What are you going to do, son? And he's got a problem right in the opening. And what
if you think of any movie, there's a conflict within the first 15 minutes. Otherwise, you're bored out of your mind. Within the first 15 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, has to be.
Has to be.
What's the conflict? And the conflict here is how good are their quarterbacks? And it's what makes their unless all you want to do is winning and winning and winning, and fans do. But as a journalist, the issue for me, the problem that needs to be solved, and the interest and the drama is the quarterback thing.
Yeah, and the fact that I get to watch it every day in training camp and cover it, and people are going to watch my post-training camp reports. I cannot wait. I hope it starts soon. So where they stand in the NFC, I was looking up what Vegas thinks. I thought that's interesting. And, I mean, clearly they have Tampa as the favorite in the NFC. That's fair. They just won. They're the NFC champions, and they're great. After Tampa, there are 3 teams kind of ranked closely together in terms of odds. Green Bay is plus 1,100, whatever the hell that means. And then the Niners and Rams are plus 1,200. So basically, Vegas thinks that the Packers, Rams, and Niners are all pretty much right there after the Bucks in the NFC. What do you think of that?
Well, considering how crummy the Niners record was last season, what praise for the 49ers. And I think it's deserved. I do.
Yeah.
I think it's deserved. I'm going to tell you nothing. The Bucks, I don't think they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. They may not even have a great season. And I'm going to say, there's the Super Bowl hangover, blah, 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 blah. I don't mean that. They're kind of an old team. They got an old quarterback. They got the old tight end.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
2 years in a row for those old guys? Maybe not. Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's tough. Yeah.
So I think really the Niners are in the top 3 teams and better than the Rams. So Iggy, I'm saying they're in the top 2 teams in the NFC.
I mean, if it comes down to them and the Packers, I mean, the Niners specialize in kicking the Packers' ass. I mean, it's what they do. They always make the Packers look soft and small and obsolete. So if that's the only team standing between them and the Super Bowl, Niners have pretty good chance. And really, they made it to the Super Bowl without elite quarterback play 2 years ago. It was with their running game and their defense. This running game could be better than that running game was. Mostert's still here. Tevin Coleman's gone. I think it's interesting.
Iggy, do they have guys coming out of not fullback, but running back who also can catch the ball, say like Roger Craig?
Oh, not that well. Roger Craig was great. But the guy they got in round 3, Trey Sermon, does have good hand-eye coordination. He will catch passes, but Roger Craig is special.
How about Mostert?
Mostert's a good receiver. I think the best one's probably Jeff Wilson Jr. He caught a pass in the Super Bowl. He's a good route runner, and he has good hands and long arms.
I love when running backs and the fullback also. Now, I love when they catch passes. Boy, does that open up an offense. And I think that possibility exists also, Iggy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Kyle That's where he's strong. I think he could take advantage. He could exploit that.
Remember Greg Roman? He never would throw to the running backs, and he'd have a million excuses why. But Sean Payton over in New Orleans, his main guy is Alvin Kamara, who the running back he throws to all the time. And Kyle wanted that to be Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon fell apart, but he's looking for it. You always want that. And I think Roger Craig was the platonic ideal. Frank Gore wasn't that. He's smaller. Roger Craig's like not as fast. Roger Craig's like 6'1". He's built like a wide receiver. He gives you a big target, and he had good hand-eye coordination, and he was an amazing route runner. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
He was a Big Ten hurdler.
You think he should be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Tough one. Who cares?
Yeah. Do I have to get into that?
Ira would say no.
Are you sure?
I think he would. He votes for that thing. I'm sure if he wanted him in, he would have put him in.
No, he doesn't vote anymore. I think they kicked him off. He was too controversial.
Jeremy, he didn't like Terrell Owens enough. Jeremy Price says, would you be surprised if Jimmy has his best season?
I would not be surprised. I think this kid is going to be so motivated. And if he's not the Tin Man, if he has a heart, I think he might be what we saw at the beginning. And if not, see you later, pal.
And Jimmy, let's see that heart, because I'm wondering if you're the Tin Man. I'm not going to give you that benefit of the doubt, but my dad will, so that's cool. My dad's he's more optimistic than me. He's always been more positive than me because he's from Brooklyn.
I don't think so.
So we're out of topics. What do you want to talk about now?
I don't know.
Things just pop up.
I ain't got no popping.
I ain't got no popping.
And people aren't saying things. Let me see what they say here. Let's see.
Wait, what are you talking about over here? They said they're talking about Roger Craig and his high knees. Yeah, he was great.
He had a great knee lift. It says, Grant, take a timeout. Why?
Because you put me in my place earlier. But the Roger Craig story you tell that I love so much is people say that, like, they wonder how fast was Jerry Rice because he didn't test well, but then he never got caught from behind, and he was the yards after the catch king. And you asked Roger Craig, who was a collegiate hurdler, are you faster? Fast. Yeah, is Jerry
like a sprinter? So I was talking to Roger one time when he was, on the Niners, and they both lived on the peninsula, and they used to have this hill they'd run up together. And I just said to Roger, I said, "Who's faster, you or Jerry?" Because I was an old runner, and I like, and he answered, "Oh, Jerry." It was like, it's not even something to discuss. He said, "Oh, Jerry." And I thought, wow, I didn't expect that. So look, my impression was Jerry was really fast.
Yeah. My impression was that it was a long time ago, and he went to a small school, and whatever he did before the draft, they didn't probably teach him how to run from blocks and do a start and all that kind of stuff. But I bet you when you get him going, his top speed was probably incredibly fast, like 22 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour, something incredibly fast. Yeah, I would imagine.
I would say no question. And you never saw him, or rarely saw him caught from behind.
Yeah. It just shows you that 40-yard dash. It really measures acceleration more than speed because you're accelerating for like 3/4 of the race. 30 yards, I would imagine you're accelerating. But what you want to know, I think what Walsh was more interested in was full stride speed. How fast are you when you're – and that was Jerry.
And he was very interested. He's the one who introduced yards after the catch, and they were always talking about yak. I'd never heard of that before. And that was because of people like Jerry, because once he got the ball, see you later.
All right, we got a few questions. Seth says if the Packers lose, Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl odds drop. That's true. If Aaron Rodgers is currently saying he refuses to play for the Packers, which is, I don't know if he's just throwing a fit or if he's serious. But if they trade him to like Denver or something, all of a sudden that's one less team. I mean, forget Green Bay at that point. So the Niners really are not in a good spot.
Iggy, why doesn't he want to play for the Packers?
Oh, man. Why doesn't he want to play with the Packers? I think it's like the Deshaun Watson thing. Like they hired Matt LaFleur without consulting Aaron Rodgers, and he took that as like disrespect. And then last year they drafted a quarterback in round 1, and he took that as disrespect. It's Aaron Rodgers, but I think basically he wants the Tom Brady experience. Like he sees Tom Brady going to Tampa and running the show, and he feels he wants to do that too somewhere. So I think he just wants out.
Okay, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is he under contract to the Packers?
Yeah, he signed it. Yep, 2 more years, I think. 2, at least.
You know what
Maybe
I
3.
feel about that? You shouldn't have
Tough.
signed a contract, dude.
Tough, dude.
And in our country, it's important to live up to contracts.
There's another thing with Aaron Rodgers. He reportedly wants to be closer to the West Coast so he can do guest Jeopardy host appearances. He's been hosting Jeopardy recently, and he thinks he's pretty good. So he's going to do a little bit of both. Jeopardy,
huh?
Jeopardy.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Rodgers has always kind of made you roll your eyes since you met him, right? Back at Cal.
Well, let me say a few things. He was terrific.
Well, yeah, of course. He was terrific.
I mean, I did cover him, but he could be very smart.
Yeah.
He went to Cal. He's very smart. He could be nice, but after losses, Iggy, there's a word you use which I can't use here. He would be sulking, moody. He would get
the red ass.
Boy, would he get the red ass.
He would get the red ass.
Really get the red ass. And what I've beginning journalists, here's another thing for you.
Yeah.
You can never judge the character of an athlete after a win.
No.
Everybody is a hero after a win. But you can after a loss. How does this athlete handle losing? Everybody loses.
Yes.
Muhammad Ali lost. Joe Louis lost. Ray Robinson lost. How do you handle losing? The day of the loss, and how do you come back from it afterward? That defines an athlete and an athlete's character. And I never felt that Aaron Rodgers did well on that scale, as opposed to, I'm going to say, Jeff George. When he was at, who the hell is Jeff George? When he was at the Raiders, he would lose and he would stand there. He would be a stand-up guy. And, I thought, God love you.
You know who else is not a stand-up guy after a loss? Brady.
No, he won't go over to the other quarterback.
It's awful. And everyone gives him a pass like, oh, he's just a fiery competitor. No, that sucks.
It sucks. And listen, it makes me want to puke.
Yeah.
You have to stand there and congratulate the other quarterback, because that's what a man of character or a woman of character. That's what a person of character does.
Yep.
And no, you're right about Brady. And they always show him walking off the field. And I just say,
what a competitor.
Yeah, I say you're a bum and you have bad manners, and you should stand there and be a mensch.
Yeah, he should be a role model to his 25-year-old kids, or I don't know how old they are. He's just, I don't know. Tony says, thanks for the excellent journalistic conversations every week. Thank you, Tony. Aaron says, yo, it's the Niners fan from the Bengals land. Oh, hey, Aaron, how you doing? All I got to do is wear my Jimmy G Lucky Charm jersey and he'll be all good. Why weren't you wearing that in the past? It's your fault. Hold on. Sean says, more optimistic than Lowell. You did a great job, Lowell, sheltering Grant. Not too many father-son days at the column. LOL. Well, I don't know. I'm a little sheltered, I guess, until I went to the mean streets of Bishop O'Dowd. That was, man, the things that happened at Bishop O'Dowd. Jose says, Lowell, who did you think the Niners were taking in 2005, and were you surprised they picked Alex Smith instead of Aaron Rodgers? Do you remember that far back?
I do. And let me just say, the whole world was surprised, right?
Yes.
The whole world was surprised. And obviously, Alex Smith was a very good quarterback, and I think he's a better guy than Aaron Rodgers. It just so happens that Aaron Rodgers is a far better quarterback. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and Alex isn't.
Yeah, I mean, the story is that basically the Niners were just so won over by Alex Smith's personality. How could you not be? I can understand making that mistake, because Aaron Rodgers is a diva, and Alex Smith is so normal. And you think, this guy's coachable, this guy isn't. And they're right. Aaron Rodgers isn't coachable. Problem is, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, or in the conversation, so you don't have to coach him. It's just let him be the best. But yeah.
Joe Montana was coachable, and he was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. I want to emphasize this. They do everything now on their tablets.
Yes.
But in the early 1980s, they didn't have tablets. They had these big loose leaf binders, and they were thick. And they were that cardinal red, whatever the Niners have.
Mhm.
I thought it was part of Joe Montana's hand. Whenever I would saw Iggy, whenever he was walking around the facility or in training camp, he had that book. It was his Bible. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that when he went home at night, he was reading that and studying that all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
He was not a diva.
No.
And, he even, apparently Bill Walsh didn't praise. Apparently he didn't praise people because when I would talk to Joe, he would say, I'm learning. I'm learning, and I had to learn how to go, look here and then look here. But he never said that Bill praised him for that. And then one time I was talking to Steve Young, and he said, Lowell, we would get these mimeograph sheets, and it would have the plays. And he said they were hot because remember mimeographs, they would be hot when they come out of that machine. He said, just come out, and they were hot. And Steve was like a writer. He's like a writer.
Yeah.
And
all the
and
details.
they had the smell, the mimeograph smell.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I would look at it and then we go to practice and do it. And Bill would never praise me. He would say, okay, let's move on to the next thing. And Steve was like,
that's the highest praise is let's move on.
Yeah. Could you say I did it good? And I'll tell you an interesting thing. When I wrote my book on Bill, because when he'd come back to Stanford in 1992, Stanford Athletics asked me as a Stanford graduate to talk a little about my Stanford experience. Okay.
Yes.
And because I was kind of well known. And so Bill said, let's all go in the coaching room, and all the coaching staff went in and I was there and they played it on a screen. Lowell talking about his Stanford experience. And Iggy, I did pretty good on it. I mean, I was at Stanford for 6 years. I did an MA and a PhD. I taught there. I really knew the school. It ended and Bill didn't even look or say a word to me. And I thought, oh, this is what Steve was talking about.
And we did that.
Yeah,
it must be like, I'm guessing.
He didn't say nice or anything. He just moved on.
I'm guessing Bill's dad didn't praise him. But it's about that simple.
That's simple.
About that simple.
Whereas I praise you all the time, and my dad used to praise me. I used to tell you as a little kid, he was born in 1988. And what did I say?
That I was the one from 88.
You're the one from 88. You're the one from 88.
That's amazing. How did I get so lucky? The one. That's amazing. There's so many kids more than me. Okay. Well, I believe it.
I used to say it all the time. And what's more, I believe it. You're the one from 88. And not only did Bill's father not praise him, Bill indicated that there may have been some hitting.
Yeah. The Goose says, what would Bill Walsh do in this quarterback situation? Make this a quarterback competition or have Lance back up Jimmy?
Okay. This is what he would do. He would watch them both. He wouldn't come in with a predetermined idea. He would watch them in training camp. And if Jimmy won out, Jimmy would win out. If the kid won out, the kid would win out. I think he would want to be pragmatic. Yeah. And if Jimmy wins out, which again, I hope he does, he would insert Lance judiciously.
Right. Joshua says, does Eric Armstead have a bounce back season? Does he need to for the Niners to compete for a title next year? Look, I'm going to be positive on Eric Armstead. He was playing out of position last year. He's not, he plays defensive end, but he's not an edge rusher. He's a defensive end run stopper who rushes from the interior, and he couldn't do that last year because everyone was hurt. So if Bosa is healthy and this Samson Ebukam they signed is decent, then Armstead can play in the middle and he should have a bounce back year. I'm expecting Armstead to have a bounce back year. Eric, do it. That's it. I think there was one more comment. Hold on. What were you going to say? Yeah.
No, do your comment, and we'll finish with my question.
Okay. Matthew says, will either quarterback look better this camp because the new defensive coordinator will not challenge them like Saleh?
How do you know he won't?
How do you know he won't? Maybe he'll be better than Saleh.
And
maybe
he's
the defense
disciple of Saleh.
He's a disciple of Saleh. Maybe he'll be coming right after him. I don't know. I see what you're saying, though. If the defense isn't good, then both guys could look good, but the defense is going to be good. I think the defense is going to be good. Did you have something you want to ask?
Yeah, I do. I have a final thing. I want you to think about everybody in the 49ers organization, players, coaches, people in the front office. Take a deep breath. Who is your favorite person in that whole constellation of people and why?
John Lynch.
I knew you were going to say that. Tell me why.
Because, well, first of all, I have a personal relationship with him. I mean, I've interviewed him on my Periscope. That was 2 years ago, before respected journalists would say yes to coming on with me. He's always been, his attitude with me was always, Grant's okay by me, which, I mean, Trent Baalke didn't have that attitude. I always felt like the Niners have been nicer to me since John Lynch has been there. Like, he's almost been a protector of me. Like, hey, Grant's a little out there, but it's all part of the industry. Lighten up. I dealt with it as a player. I was media. Grant's cool. I know his dad. I know him. Now, he's taken me to the side sometimes and giving me advice. One time he said, you're being too personal with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. It's like, one particular tweet, he's like, man, you don't need to do this. And I said, I totally understand. And I learned from John. I appreciate John Lynch. John Lynch. And
also, he didn't yell at you. He gave you advice, an older person.
And he's like, saying, I'm not telling you what to do. I just think this is a bad look for you. I hear you, John. I thank you. I learned from it. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I like John Lynch a lot.
And I would say probably you wish him all the best.
Absolutely. I wish him all the best. And I think that him asserting himself in the organization, if he did the way we think he did, is the best thing that's happened to the organization in a long time.
And I think maybe we could end with that. In fact, they lucked out to get him.
Absolutely. At first, it looked like he was some type of figurehead who had no job. And now it seems like he is the person who strikes a balance between Kyle Shanahan and Jed York. He's the person that makes it all work.
Okay. So I'd like to finish out by saying, I'm talking to you, John. Good for you. Good for you. And Grant and I admire you.
Good for you, John. We're going to wrap up our show, but I don't want Will's donation to go in vain. He's saying everyone's amped about our season because of the offense, but what about the defense? It's a valid question. What about the defense? There's a new defensive coordinator. I think one thing that's going to help the defense is if the Niners run the ball as much as my dad and I think that they will, defense won't be on the field that much. That always helps. And Nick Bosa's coming back. That'll help as well. Michael just donated. Thank you so much, Michael. The show is over. No more donations. Thanks for watching, Dad. Thanks for doing this with me. I always enjoy it. And I love you.
I love you, Iggy. This was great. People watching. Thanks for watching. This is the high point of my week doing this. Iggy, I'll call you in a minute.
All right. Talk to you in a minute. See you, everyone.